Thank you for joining us today. If you are not an ATA member, please consider joining at https://atalink.org/become a member. Welcome to Seminar 5, From Navy to NASCAR, What You Think About, You Bring About, featuring my friend Lieutenant Commander Jesse Awuji, U.S. Navy Reserve and NASCAR driver. The views expressed in this presentation are those of the speaker and do not reflect the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, the Department of Defense, the United States government, the Airlift Tanker Association, or the United States Navy. Please take advantage of the question and answer feature in Teams to submit your questions anytime during the presentation. There is no need to wait until the end of the presentation portion to submit your questions. Also, make sure to like questions by clicking the thumbs up icon. That way we know what you want to hear about. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jesse Awuji.
All righty. Can everyone hear me? Loud and clear. All right, cool. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me for your event today. It's an honor to be in front of everyone, and thank you all for wanting to tune in and hear my story. For me, obviously, I'm not an aviation guy. I'm a surface warfare guy, so I've been on the ships, but I definitely respect all the aviation folks and everything they do in all the branches and even post military careers and stuff. So, thank you all for everything you do. Now, for my story, for those who are wondering, I'm sure some of you have probably seen it out there in the media, seen it in the news a little bit, but I have a bit of a interesting journey over the last, 10, 15 years, and really over the last 5 years. Originally, both of my parents are from Nigeria. I'm a first generation Nigerian here in the U.S. Both of my parents came over from Nigeria in the early 80s. My dad came first, got his education here in the U.S., and then went back to Nigeria, married my mom, and brought her back over here and decided to settle in Dallas, Texas. But before my dad came back from Nigeria to the U.S., his dad told him one key thing that I think my dad has really ingrained in our minds, or his kids' minds, over the last 30 years now, and that's succeed. There's a lot of opportunity out here. So his dad, my granddad, told him, hey, you're going to America. You're going to the United States of America. There's so much opportunity out there, and it would be a complete shame and embarrassment if you don't succeed. So that was his parting words right there to his son as he went off to a far distant country where they weren't going to be able to see each other much at all. So my dad came over to the U.S., got here, and decided to reside with my mom. And we grew up in Dallas, Texas. And for those who pay attention to football at all, that Texas football is huge. I mean, that's like the king of the state, Texas football. So, growing up, football was my main thing. And I had this big goal and big aspiration to go off to college and play college football. And, throughout middle school, throughout high school, I worked very hard to, get myself better at football. I would work out harder than everybody else. I would work out extra. I would stay in the weight room more than anybody else, just to get bigger, stronger, faster, and all of that. And by the end of high school, I started getting recruited by the Naval Academy. And when the Naval Academy came knocking on my door, I just looked at it as an opportunity to go off to a really good school where I can get a great education, go play football for a great team that was winning a lot of games. And then eventually, when I graduate from the academy, be able to have a career pretty much started for me as an officer in the United States Navy. So I looked at this opportunity as a great way to go basically make the most of my life. Decided to go to the Naval Academy, got there in 2006, played football all 4 years, played against a lot of great teams, also ran track. We beat Army and we beat Air Force. I'm sorry, we beat Air Force all 4 years. But we beat Air Force all 4 years, and we beat Notre Dame twice, which was pretty cool accomplishment. So played a lot of great games, did that, and graduated in 2010 and became a surface warfare officer. So for those who don't know, surface warfare officers, we're on the ships. We operate the ships. We take them from point A to point B. We're on destroyers, cruisers, amphibs, all that. For me, my first ship in 2010 was a minesweeper. I was on a minesweeper for about 2 years, went on one deployment with them for about 10 months, spent most of that deployment in Bahrain and the Arabian Gulf, just Fifth Fleet type deployment. And then my second ship that I was on after that, which I transferred to in 2013, was a USS Comstock, which was an amphib. It was a lot bigger ship. When I was on the minesweeper, I was on a 225-foot long ship that had only 80 people on board. It was, I believe, like 79 males, one female. It's just different. You go onto the amphib, it's now 800 people on board, about 400 Marines, 400 Navy, and a lot bigger ship, a lot more space. So just different mission. And really on that ship, I went on one deployment for 5 months. The rest of the time we were just doing underways from San Diego. And in between all the underways and deployments and everything, really over my first 4 years in the Navy, I started developing this passion for cars and racing. And during my free time, I would take my personal cars to tracks nearby for me. So I would go to road course tracks and drag strips and all that and have fun doing that. And after a while doing that for the first 4 years in the Navy, I decided that, you know what, I love cars, I love racing. Obviously, I love being in the Navy. That's why I'm in it. Why not try to do two things at once? I'm getting ready to transition from sea duty to shore duty, where I'm going to have a lot more free time. I won't be on the ships anymore. Why not try to do something extra outside of that? And I just was sitting in my room one night. It was in January 2014, and I just made the crazy decision that I was going to become a professional race car driver. I love cars and racing that much that I was going to go after it. Where to go, what to do, I didn't really know. But I took my whiteboard off my wall and I erased whatever was on it and wrote one big goal, and that was become a professional race car driver. And that is where the journey began. And from there, it was like, okay, what do I do next? Like, how do I get to this goal? How do I even accomplish it? I do know one thing. Anything I've done in life, as far as, getting to college, to be able to play college football, excelling in college football, teamwork, all the stuff we've done, all the way up until that point, I've learned a few key things in life that was going to help me. And one of those things was, what you think about, you bring about. So I knew I needed to get my mind into the right place. I needed to get my mindset in a place where I was going to be unstoppable, where nothing was going to stop me from achieving this goal. Because I knew starting from the bottom and not really having many resources at all to make this racing goal and journey happen, I knew that I need to have a very strong mindset, because a lot of bad things were probably going to happen. I was probably going to end up getting a lot of no's. I was probably going to end up, maybe getting in some wrecks on the racetrack, and all these things were going to happen. But I need to get myself in the right mindset, because what you think about, you bring about. So for me, I immediately started researching, how do I get into racing? How do I go from a guy who was literally just driving a ship in the Arabian Gulf a couple months ago and now trying to actually get into a full-blown race car and race? Like, how do I do that? So I started going online. I was researching online every single day, just putting energy and focus on this. And the first thing you would see on the internet was a lot of negativity. A lot of people telling me it's not possible because I didn't come from a racing family. Not possible because I didn't start racing when I was 5, 6 years old. Not possible because I don't have a lot of money. Not possible because I'm not the right skin color or whatever. There's a lot of different things going on. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this deter me. At the end of the day, I had the vision. Like, God put that vision in my mind that I was going to go achieve this goal, this huge goal, lofty goal too. Some would call it a pipe dream, but I was going to go achieve it. And for me, I was like, I'm not going to look at that negativity. I'm going to keep on pushing forward. But I know if I keep putting focus and energy towards it, eventually some door is going to open up. Some pathway is going to align with this journey. Something's going to happen where it's going to lead me to someone, and I'm going to make this happen. 2 months after I made this decision that I was going to become a professional race car driver, I met a guy at a car show who was actually racing late model stock cars. And I didn't know he was actually racing late models. I just randomly ran into this guy at the car show. I was telling him about, hey, I have a Corvette. I take it to road course tracks. I do open track days. I was just telling him all these things I do, but I wasn't really telling him my goals and aspirations. From there, he took that on board, and then we split ways. I ended up needing to go to use the restroom, and there was only porta potties there, and I was in line for one of them, and the one I was in line for happened to be the one that he was in He hopped out of it, and I was about to go in, and I said, "Hey," again, because I had seen him earlier. And his first words to me was like, "Jesse, would you be interested in testing a stock car? I know you like, going with your Corvette to road course tracks and doing all that stuff, but why not get into racing? Like, why not try testing a stock car?" He had no clue that I actually had this goal of getting into racing. And but the reason why we aligned, some people will say it was just random or it was just lucky that I just so happened to run into this guy, but it's not. When you start putting focus and energy towards a goal every single day, the universe will start getting out of your way. The universe will start aligning things in your path, in your journey, so that you can actually accomplish this goal. And he was aligned in this path because I was putting energy towards it. So I told him, yes, I would love to try out a stock car one day. How can I do it? He told me, hey, here in 2 months, in May of 2014, you can come out to the Speedway. We have a late model stock car there. It's like the lowest level of NASCAR racing. You can try it out, see how you like it, and maybe we can figure something out. I come out 2 months later. I do the test. The test went well. From there, I told him, hey, how do I actually get into a race from here? They said, you know what, you did do well, but it's going to cost about $5,000 per race to race with us. Well, at that time, I'm a lieutenant in the Navy in '03. I was only making, whatever we were making at that time, not enough to pay $5,000 per race for like a 15 race season. So I was like, okay, how do I make this happen? And then it clicked. I was like, oh, why don't I try to find some sponsorship? I thought it would be super simple. Just go talk to some business and you're going to give me money so I can go race. And I put their name on a race car, call it a day. It's not that easy. I quickly found out that it's very difficult to find sponsorship because you really have to have a good marketing plan and good marketing initiatives and things that you can do for a company to help them get a really good return on their investment. So I didn't understand that at that time, but I learned after the fact. And I shot a lot of emails to people, went on LinkedIn, shot a lot of messages to people. Probably got about 3, 4, 500 no's from people. And, I didn't let that deter me. I didn't let these no's from these sponsorship requests deter my journey. I knew that, hey, if they're not going to support it, then I'm going to figure it out myself. So I started my own business on the side. So now I'm getting into racing. I'm starting my own business. And by the way, I'm still active duty in the Navy, and I'm doing all this at once. I started my own business on the side so that I can make extra money so I can be able to race. My business was putting on drag racing events at drag strips in Southern California. I would rent the track, invite a lot of people there, charge them money to get there. Any extra money left over was my profit, and I would use that to throw it back into the racing so I could get on the track and start getting this NASCAR journey going. And this is, by the way, now 2015. And I'm on shore duty at this time, so I'm not on the ships anymore, so I don't have to worry about deployments or anything like that. And I actually have free time to do this on the weekends. So I start doing that, and I get to my first race. The first race in 2015, April, was in a late model race at Irwindale Speedway. The race went well for me. I was running pretty much about mid-pack throughout the whole race. And for me to be running in the middle of the pack, it showed me that, hey, I do have a little bit of skill. I do have opportunity to actually excel at this. I'm my first race ever, and I'm faster than half the field. I can only imagine when I get a lot more experience and, keep on racing, maybe eventually one day I can actually win a race. So from there, that was a positive thing for me. And I knew that I was on the right path. I was on the right journey. Well, going to the second race, I didn't have as much money to get into that next race. And all of a sudden I did a crowdfunding campaign. That crowdfunding campaign had a lot of people, Naval Academy grads, other Academy graduates, other people who just wanted to see me succeed in life. They put money into this crowdfunding campaign. That's what allowed me to get into my second race. Going into the third race, I didn't have any extra money left over. And I was like, you know what? This is a big goal, a big dream of mine. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I took my credit card, I maxed it out just to be able to get to the next race. And all of a sudden after the third race, I was like, okay, I really don't have any extra money to make this happen right now. How do I keep going? My business is making money, but my next event that I'm putting on isn't for another few months. How am I going to get money to race these next 2 or 3 races before then to actually keep this journey alive? And then all of a sudden, through the networking I had kept doing, through all the little podcast interviews, all the radio show interviews, all the things I was doing to continue to put out energy into the world and show people that, hey, I'm trying to make this happen. All of a sudden, I end up getting connected to a fellow who ends up loving my story, loving everything I was doing, and wanted to help me out. And he decided to sponsor the rest of my racing season in 2015. And that was a huge, huge help for me because that allowed me to get my business going in the right direction so I could have extra money left over for the following year to basically sponsored myself. It helped so much in so many different ways. And I basically went from racing late models in 2015 to then moving up to the regional series of NASCAR in 2016, which is the NASCAR K&N series. I ran that series in 2016, 17, and a little bit of 18. And then from there moved up to the ARCA series, which is more of a regional / national type series. And then from there moved up to the NASCAR Truck Series, which is a national level series. And that's the beginning of the national series of NASCAR. I ran that series in 2018, 2019, and a little bit of this year. And just recently, in the last couple months, moved up to the second highest level of NASCAR, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I'm now one step below the NASCAR Cup Series, which is the top level of NASCAR. I'm one of 2 African Americans in the entire NASCAR National Series level, and I'm the only service member who has served or is serving racing in the National Series of NASCAR. A naval officer racing in NASCAR hasn't been done before. Active duty guy racing in NASCAR hasn't been done in 50, 60 years. I believe the last person who did it actually was an Air Force guy back in like the 50s or 60s or something like that. But it's been a long time since a service member was actually racing at the national levels of NASCAR. I'm doing it right now and using this journey just to show our fellow service members, whether they're active in the reserves or, or retired, just to show them that, hey, we are very capable of so much. I think service members, we learn so much in the service. We get put under immense amount of stress in the service, deployments, our time that we spend in our workplace, all the things we do. We have a lot of skills that we can use and really apply to anything we want in life. I mean, I was a guy driving this big 600-foot long ship, and then a few months later racing in a race car, against 20 something people on a track. And then, a few months after that, racing on national TV. It's nothing that I wasn't just God's gift to earth. I just had a lot of support from a lot of great people, and I was able to use everything I've learned in the military to apply it to what I was doing in NASCAR and just be a step ahead of a lot of other people that was competing all for the same thing. And for me, I always like to tell people that, when you're going after something in life, whatever goal it is, whatever dream it is, whatever you're going after, you have to understand that it first starts with having a vision. You have to have a vision in your head, a natural born vision in your head, seeing yourself being, becoming, or achieving whatever you're trying to do. It can't just be you're sitting there one day, all of a sudden, you know what? Hey, I'm going to go be an astronaut or something like that. Well, I mean, if it wasn't just this natural vision that was given to you, if you just made it up right there in the spot, it's probably not going to come. Like I had this natural vision, seeing myself walking out of driver intros, being a pro driver, just racing in this, just racing professionally. Like I saw myself doing it, and I kept seeing myself every single day. And I knew that this is where I needed to be. So you first have to have that vision. Once you have that vision, you have to have a very insane and obsessive belief that you will make it happen. You have to insanely believe, because there are going to be a lot of naysayers, especially when you're going after something big, lofty, and that would be considered a pipe dream. There's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna tell you it's not possible, it's not possible, it's not possible, way more than you would have ever thought. People who are close to you too. You'll have family members, people who you think like really, really love you and care for you, are gonna tell you it's not possible. And not that they're hating on you, they can't see it. They weren't given the vision. Only you were given that vision. So never get upset at someone for doubting your journey or doubting your dream. They were never given your vision. Only you were. You were the only person given it. So you are the only one who knows the path. You are the only one who saw where you're supposed to be. After you insanely believe in it, you got to make sure that you have actionable steps every single day. You're grinding every single day to make that dream happen. You have to put action towards it daily. It's not just believing in it. It's not just seeing it in your head. You have to do something every single day. You got to knock on that door. You got to do whatever is necessary. When people ask, hey, how many push-ups do I got to do to get bigger arms, get stronger? As many as you have to, as many as necessary. How many laps do I got to do on track before I become a good driver? As many as necessary. Like, just keep doing them. You got to keep doing it. There is no number. There is no book that tells you step by step what needs to happen. You just got to do whatever is necessary. Whatever is required that will get you there. Just do it. It could be 100. It could be 1,000, and it's different for everybody. As you're putting this action towards it every single day, understand that there's going to be hard days. when you're going after whatever you're going after, there's days that are going to be very, very difficult. And there's probably going to be more difficult days than good days, especially in the beginning. And you have to understand that it's all about who stays strong enough, long enough. Those are the people who get to the end. It's not too much about talent, money, whatever resources, skills. It's not all about that. It's all about who stays strong enough, long enough. I've seen people, racing alongside of me and in my path, trying to go on the same journey. People who had way more skills than I did, and they ended up, phasing out at some point because they didn't stay strong enough, long enough. They didn't stay the course. Like what they thought about, they brought about. They thought that, hey, I just can't make it from here. And then guess what? Their journey ended. But in my mind, I've never thought that, hey, I can't make it from here. I've always believed that I will make it no matter what. I'm not the best driver right now. One day I want to be the best driver, but right now I'm not the best driver. But I do know I will get there. I do know through a lot of hard work I can get there, through a lot of grind. Yes, I'm going to make mistakes along the way. Yes, there's going to be a lot of days where you just got to eat it, but that's what happens when you're going after something big and a lot bigger than what you're doing at the moment. It just happens. And then, one of the biggest and most important things is a longer journey in life and anything that you're doing, no matter what you're trying to get to, no matter what you're trying to achieve, just remember to continue to help people. I'm a firm believer that the more you can help people achieve their dreams, your dreams will also come true too. It just will happen. Don't look at ever being repaid for whatever, repaid for this and that. It doesn't matter. Just do good just to do good. Do good for people. Help them out. Watch them achieve their goals. Be happy for that. And God will bless you down the road. It could be immediate. It could be 10 years from now. Who knows? But it will happen. Just do good for good. Like, don't expect things in return. I'm telling you, it will help. I know there's a saying that good guys finish last. That's false. Good guys finish first. They eventually finish first. Maybe not immediately, but they eventually finish first. So, it's all about staying strong enough, long enough. Keep on grinding. Whatever you're doing in life, as long as you keep that strong mindset, because what you think about, you bring about, you'll get to whatever you want in life. And that's really what I've taken and really applied to my life over the last few years. And it's allowed me to get to this level. And eventually I'll be racing in the NASCAR Cup Series, racing full time, eventually competing for a championship. That's the ultimate goal. That's where I'll get to. And through the support of a lot of great people out there, we'll continue to keep this journey alive. But I'm looking forward to continuing to network with people throughout the years. Who knows? You never know who's going to connect you to the next, potential big sponsor or potential big deal for whatever it is. Eventually after racing, I'm going to be in Hollywood. I'll be in movies. I'll be doing all that fun stuff. I have big goals and aspirations. I keep on believing big, because you got to shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, at least you'll land amongst the stars. And that's something I firmly believe in. And really, that is a lot of my story right there.
Well, speaking of sponsors, can you tell us a little bit about the sponsor on your shirt?
Oh yeah, so if you can see it right here, True Car Military. So just about a few weeks ago, we were able to ink a deal with True Car Military. We did a commercial with them some weeks ago, and that should be airing right now. You probably see it on some digital ads online, on Facebook, maybe Instagram, all that. And basically what True Car does is they're basically an online dealer for cars. So they are providing a lot of different incentives for military folks. That's why they have their True Car Military program right now, where they're trying to basically figure out ways to help our nation's troops in their car buying experience. I know when it comes to purchasing a car, for some it can be easy. For some it can be a stressful time. True Car is trying to make it not stressful, make it easy, make it simple, and be able to put your dream car in your hands. So it's been really cool being able to partner up with True Car, a company that honors our nation's heroes and tries to do everything they can to continue to be there for our nation's heroes, because I feel like those who have served this country have given a lot of sacrifices. Some have sacrificed their life so that we can have the freedoms that we have, so that we can drive the cars that we want, so that we can race in NASCAR, so that we can have symposiums like this and be able to gather and believe what we want to believe, vote for who we want to vote, be who we want to be, speak what we want to speak of. That's what our nation's troops have done to keep this land free. So it's great that True Car recognizes that and is doing what they can to honor our nation's troops and provide them a great car buying experience.
All right, and one more thing before we move on to question and answer. You talked about your aspirations to be on TV and Hollywood and things like that. When can our viewers see you on TV next? When's your next broadcast?
Yeah, so broadcast wise, I've been doing some stuff with NBC Sports. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So last year at Daytona, I did some broadcasting with NBC Sports for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Daytona, and it was mainly just pre-race stuff. And then moving into this year, just in July, about a year later, I got the opportunity to do a 5 or 6 race deal with NBC Sports, where I was a broadcaster on pit road, being a pit reporter. And for those who might not know what a pit reporter is, it's like if you watch football, it's like the field reporters, the ones on the sideline reporters. So I was there just kind of giving information and updates on what's going on, and I was more of a driver analyst than anything. So I was really giving a view from a driver's point of view on what's going on the track, what's happening with the drivers, what are they thinking, what's happening with the cars, how is the track affecting them, how is the strategy throughout the race changing, and that's what I was really focused on talking about. And it gave me the opportunity to get a lot of great TV time, on-screen time, speak, and learn that whole different world of motorsports, which is the TV side. And it was a really good opportunity to really gain some experience, because eventually, I could see myself being on screen, being on camera a lot in the future, shows, movies, you name it. So it was great getting introduced to that world in that way. I really loved it. It was fun. And I am done with NBC right now, I believe, for the year. But I'm still, because I'm racing right now. So if I was racing, I'm racing. If I'm doing NBC, I'm doing NBC. So it's all back and forth. But I have one more race this year, which is the final race of the NASCAR season. That's coming up not this weekend, but the next weekend. I'll be racing at Phoenix International Raceway. And I'll be racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series again. It'll be on Saturday, November 7th. So if you have any time, everyone, make sure you tune in. Watch me. I'll be in the 99 Chevrolet. Looking forward to running that race and capping off the year on a positive note, and then looking for some big things to come in 2021.
Outstanding. Thanks, Jesse. And hopefully some of our folks get out there to support you and support your dreams. So I'm going to transition into the Q&A now. So the first question is, how did your military experience prepare you for your next career, and where did it fall short in preparing you?
Yeah, so as far as military experience, for me, being a lot of different things have really applied to this racing career. So, one, being able to present myself in a professional manner, being able to, like as far as sponsorship and stuff like that, when you're dealing with sponsors, when you're dealing with different companies, they have to know that their ambassador that they're investing in is going to be somebody who can present themselves professionally. Someone who can speak well, someone who can talk about their product and their services well and coherently, somebody who's just going to be a professional representing that company. And I've, obviously learned that in the military. With everything we do in the Navy, we are professional ambassadors of the United States Navy, and not just the United States Navy, but the United States of America, period, wherever we go. So I've applied knowledge and things I've learned from that to what I've been doing in NASCAR, which has helped me, because a lot of the drivers I race against, they didn't come from the military, they didn't come from the Naval Academy, they didn't come from my background. A lot of them just grew up in racing their whole life. We started racing when they're 5, 6 years old, and they've been racing for the last 10, 15, 20 years. Whereas for me, I haven't. I came from a different background, but I have experience that I can apply from my background to my racing side, and that helps me definitely, especially on the media side and talking with companies. Communication, that's a big part of racing. When you're on your race team, when I'm driving in a race car, it's not just me in the car and that's it. I have a crew chief and a spotter on the radio talking in my ear, and I have to communicate back. I got to communicate what's going on the track, what's happening with the race car, how I'm feeling, if I need any adjustments. My spotter is communicating with me on what's going on the track behind me, because I can't see past right here. But all these things are happening. That communication piece is very huge, and I've learned to communicate on radios by staying calm doing it through the Navy. On the ships, when you're communicating bridge to bridge, from ship to ship, trying to navigate and communicate how you're going to pass each other and things like that. All that communication stuff can be a little nerve-wracking, especially when you're really close to other ships. But I learned all that in the Navy, and I've applied it to NASCAR. And then, just the teamwork side of it, being able to understand that it is a team. It's not just me. I'm not the only person out there. The car just doesn't come from my garage or something and go to the track and race. There's a team, at the shop working on the car all week. They need my input to help, make sure the car fits my needs when we're on the track. Everybody's doing a pit crew, crew chiefs, car chiefs. Everybody's doing their job so that the whole team can come together and go and have a successful weekend. So all these things are things I've learned in the military. I've applied it now to racing, and it's helped me have a little bit of success.
All right, so you missed the back part of that question, and I'm going to put your feet to the fire on that. So where did it not prepare you? When you got out of the military, you were like, holy cow, I didn't realize the real world was like this. Where did we fall short in prepping you?
Falling short. You know what? So this is the thing. I'm not in active duty anymore, but I'm in the Navy Reserves now. So I wouldn't say I'm fully out of the military now, but I would say what the military probably could do better. And I don't know about all branches, but I know at least in the Navy, what we could probably do better in preparing our folks for transitioning to the civilian world is really, we have our TAPS class, and I'm not sure if it's called the same thing for the other branches, but TAPS is basically the transition class. I think it's like a week long, maybe 2 weeks long, I can't remember, where they teach you how to write a resume and all these little stuff before they, let you out into the regular world. And I feel like that's not enough. I mean, we've been in the military, some people for 20 years, 25, 30 years, and you just give them a week or two just to, teach them a few things before they jump into this completely new world. I feel like we need more. It's almost like we need like a year's worth. It's like if hey, I'm going to be retiring, this year or whatever, we need to work with our people quite a bit more. And maybe it's not a year, but maybe it's a month, a whole month or 2 months worth, 3 months worth, a quarter's worth of just really providing a lot of information and opportunities. Like our people are capable of so much. I think we try to just set up our people just to go do maybe certain little lines of work or whatever. And we don't even really inform them that, hey, you can do a lot. Like just because you were, let's say in the Marine Corps and you were a grunt, you were on the ground, infantry, you're hauling around with an M16, M4 all day long, every day. Well, guess what? You're not just only good for that. Don't just think that the only thing you can do in the civilian world is go do something that requires having a weapon on hand. You can do so much. What are all the skills that you learned in the military? You learned how to lead people. You learned how to project manage. You learned how to manage equipment that costs millions and millions of dollars. You learned how to write evaluations and write this and write that and order parts and do this, supplies, all that stuff. Like you learned so many different skills. Why not apply those skills to the civilian world? And you don't only have to go work for somebody. I mean, you can actually go start your own business too. There's nothing that says you can't get out of the military and start your own business. I think a lot of people think I'm just going to go work for someone. We learned a lot of leadership skills. Why not go start your own thing, be a leader, and get your own thing going? Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, you might have a family to immediately support, and maybe you need some cash on hand. Save up some money in your bank account then while you're in the military. But, start thinking of where you want to be, who you see yourself being when you get out. Don't wait till, a few weeks before you get out to start thinking about where you want to go, what you want to do, because then you're setting yourself up for not success. Like for me, I knew I wanted to be a professional race car driver. I knew I wanted to have my businesses and grow them and all that stuff. So I knew that I was going to transition from active duty to the reserves around the middle of 2017. I already knew this 2.5 years prior to that. So I basically started working on my civilian life 2.5 years prior to me getting out, because I knew it was going to be a process. If I just waited to do this NASCAR thing and get my business going right when I transitioned from active duty to the reserves, I would have been screwed. I would have been in a really bad spot, and this journey would have not went far at all. But instead, I made the hard decision, and I was like, you know what? I know it's going to take 18, 19, 20 hours of my life every single day, but I'm going to start it while I was still active duty. I'm gonna work my active duty job, 8, 9 hours through the day. When I get off, work on my goals and dreams of my civilian life right after that. And sometimes you got to combine it. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's definitely possible if you put your mind to it, because it's all about what you think about, you bring about.
Nice. I like how you brought that full circle. So I'm going to give you, we got plenty of questions pouring in now. So Katrina says, you have a very positive and optimistic personality. Do you have any tips or recommendations for people who are working through a challenge or struggling to make their dreams happen? And then there was one more question that tagged along with that I'm going to combine for you here just to make your life a little bit easier. But Owen asks, have you had any moments of serious doubt along your journey, and how did you silence that doubt? So really, two questions asking the same thing.
Yeah, two questions asking the same thing. So for those that happens, that is all part of the journey. And I want everyone to know, whatever you're going after, whatever your goal is, whether it's in the military, I want to become I want to become an O6, a flag officer, or whatever, or if you want to become a senior enlisted, whatever it is, or if outside of the military, if you're trying to, become a, I don't know, some top chef somewhere, or own your own business, or start a nonprofit organization, or whatever it is you're trying to do and become that's bigger than what you are right now. Understand that life and goals are a cycle. They're a cycle, and you'll start somewhere here in the middle, and it's going to go one or two ways. Either it's going to go clockwise and go up, and then start coming down and then go up, or it's going to start going down at first and then it's going to come up. And either way, it's something's going to happen. The cycle will start. But understand, when you're on that downward part of the cycle, that's all part of the journey. Like, that happens. You're going to go up and down and up and down and up. And it's just a sine wave. It just keeps happening. Like, that is a cycle. It's a circle of life. Not to bring up, Lion King or anything, but that's what it is. It's a circle of life, and it happens. So understand, when you're in that downward part, when you're gonna start having some doubts. You're gonna think, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is a sign, and that's not. Like, if you had the natural vision in your head and you saw exactly where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do, if you already saw that clearly and you insanely believe it, just let the bads happen. Understand that when something bad happens, setbacks are setups for phenomenal comebacks. Remember that. Setbacks are setups for phenomenal comebacks. So let it happen. If something bad happens, or a string of bad things happen, and that string could be a year long worth of bad stuff, smile. Understand that, you know what? This is all good. This bad stuff's happening, but as long as I keep on pushing forward, like, the light is coming. Like, understand, when that bad stuff happens, that something good is about to happen, and it's going to be big. If you're trying to build a skyscraper, you can't build it by only going 2 or 3 inches deep into the soil. The deeper you dig, the higher you can make that skyscraper. The deeper you dig, also, the harder it gets. The deeper you go into the soil, in the earth, it gets harder and harder and harder. But once you get super deep, you can build that skyscraper as big as you want. So understand, setbacks are setups for phenomenal comebacks. And even in the darkest point of the night, the sun will always rise.
Setbacks like having your radio not work at the beginning of a race and spending the first 3 laps in the pits. So
10 laps.
10 laps. Okay. Yeah. But you still got out there and got a great finish. And that really goes to your perseverance. And you live your philosophy. And that's what I love about you, is you just exude positivity. The next question is, can you compare technology like AI and simulation in the NASCAR and Navy, and how it helps you do your job? And then another person is asking, there's many platforms for racing like iRacing, Gran Turismo, Forza, etc. Needing constant practice. What do you utilize to hone your skills? So if you could tail that in and talk about a simulation in the military, as well as how it translated to in NASCAR.
Yeah, well, at least on the sim side of it, so it's actually funny that you mentioned the sim thing. In the military, at least on the ships, and I know in pilots too, y'all do the same thing too, but y'all have your aviation simulators. In the Navy, in the ship world, in the Navy, we have our ship simulator. So we have a room where we set up like a ship, and it's basically a simulation of basically driving a ship. And there's a big screen in front of us. That big screen, we basically can see the same thing we see on a bridge of a ship, and we're driving a ship. We learn how to park it. We learn how to pull up alongside another ship. We learn how to do different maneuvers, like for search and rescue, and all that. So ship simulators are very, very helpful, and they help me learn how to drive a ship. And I spent a lot of time in a ship simulator. So when I finally got to my second ship, I felt like I was a master at driving ships, and I ended up being one of the best drivers on the ship because of all that ship simulator time that I had, versus the other junior officers that were on the ship did not have the same amount of ship simulation time. Now, when I was getting into racing, once again, I didn't know where to go, what to do, but I was like, okay, let me rely on my military knowledge. Okay, when I was learning how to drive a ship, what was I having to do to actually get better at driving a ship? well, the ship simulator. So I was like, okay, is there a simulator for racing so I can use a race simulator to get better at racing? And I quickly figured out that yes, there's a lot of great racing simulators out there. So I went and bought a race simulator cockpit, which is basically a racing seat, a steering wheel, a shifter, and pedals. And then I used a software called iRacing. iRacing is a software that we can use to basically train ourselves on for racing, and it simulates real life racing. It's very realistic. Lap times are very similar. The tracks look identical. The feel of the car, the feel identical, all that stuff. And I trained on the simulator every single day before my first race, and then I continue to train on it. I spend about 2 hours a day every day, every week, training on my racing simulator to get better and better and better. And that simulation right there is what really helps me hone my skills in racing. And now even with iRacing, they've now added some more AI to it. So instead of training against other people, you can train against the computer and do it by yourself and not have to worry about some crazy variables like really inexperienced people going out and just crashing on a race on the simulator. Instead, you can have like a AI bot on the sim, actually drive against you, and you can work on skills and craft and all that stuff. So yeah, sim stuff has helped a lot.
Fantastic. The next question is, what is the best, most beneficial leadership lesson that you've learned either in the Navy or NASCAR?
I would say best leadership lessons I've learned is really that leadership isn't just a one size fits all thing. You have to understand that leadership has to change depending on who you are speaking to. So, certain groups of people, everyone comes from different backgrounds, different places. Some people need certain leadership styles to motivate them. So you can't utilize just one style to try to motivate your entire group of people, especially if it's a big group. You got to understand that some people respond in certain ways to certain things. Some people respond in certain ways to other things. To be an effective leader, you have to understand who your audience is. You just have to. Don't just believe that I'm who I am and they're going to listen to me no matter what because I'm this rank or whatever. Okay, cool. In the military, okay, sure, whatever. But in the outside world, it doesn't work. You have to understand your audience, understand who's in your audience, who's listening to you, who do you need to move in a certain direction, and understand what's going to get them to move in that certain direction. When you understand that, you can now become an effective leader. So understand your people. That is the biggest leadership lesson I can teach anyone.
Fantastic. All right, a little bit harder question here for you, and I know it's going to hit close to home. Can you talk about diversity in both the Navy and NASCAR?
Yeah, diversity. So right now, NASCAR, obviously, there's not a lot of diversity. There's more coming, so hopefully. But NASCAR is definitely working on it for sure and doing everything they can to promote diversity and inclusion. Right now, in the National Series of NASCAR, there's only 2 African Americans racing in the National Series, me and Bubba Wallace. There's a half Asian and white driver. There's a Hispanic driver, and then there's females racing in the NASCAR Truck Series right now. So besides that, there's really not a ton of diversity. I wouldn't say it's very even, I would say. So with that being said, NASCAR is doing a lot to help improve that. They have their diversity programs that's bringing in younger, diverse talent into the space. They're doing things on the industry side to bring diverse talent into the space as far as industry, front office type things onto the teams, all that. Definitely a lot of things happening. NASCAR is also making some hard stances on some social issues to help show that they're inclusive. Before people, I think the general thought was that if you go to a NASCAR race, you see a whole bunch of Confederate flags, and at some tracks that happen a lot, especially in the South. NASCAR made the stand this year, some months ago, that they were going to end that. They said they banned Confederate flags at the track. The reason they did it because they wanted to make sure that it was a very inclusive space. If you're wanting to get more African Americans, more Latinos, more anything else, coming to these races, it doesn't make anyone feel comfortable if you're coming to a race where you see a flag that represented, a nation that was all about, slavery and this and that and all that stuff. At the end of the day, the Confederate flag is something that's remaining in the history books. We should learn about it in the history books, but we shouldn't fly the flag. It's a nation that got defeated. There's only one nation under God, and that's the United States of America, and that's the only flag we should be flying here for our nation. So Yeah, that's my thought on diversity and inclusion.
All right, copy that. Quick question from one of the attendees is what books or other publications do you recommend reading for motivation and leadership?
For motivation and leadership, you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. My two favorite books are Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant. Now, are those leadership books? Not really. I wouldn't say I've really led a lot of or read or listened to a lot of leadership books. I've more of listened to things that I can apply lessons from it into my life to advance my life and achieve my goals. Um, and Rich Dad Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant are two of the best books ever. I feel like us as military people, with all the skills we've gathered from being in the military, if we just read or listen to the audiobooks, I'm an audiobook guy, listen to those two books in that order, Rich Dad Poor Dad and then Cash Flow Quadrant, just listen to those or read those. I'm telling you, it will advance a lot of our lives. There's no reason in the world we can't apply all the concepts in there to become financially free. I think in the military, with everything we've done, we're so capable of being very, very financially independent and financially free people. If we just read those books, listen to it, and just apply that knowledge in there, man, we can make so much happen. I mean, the guy who wrote the book, Robert Kiyosaki, I mean, he was in the military as I forget how many years, but he was in the military before he decided to figure out this, financially free life. And very, very good books. I highly, highly suggest it. It has transformed my life in a lot of different ways. It allowed me to believe in the things that I do now.
Thanks, Jesse. You've talked about your broadcasting and driving. Can you talk about the opportunities in NASCAR and racing in general, other than driving, that retiring or transitioning military people might be able to get into?
Yeah, so if you're looking into getting into motorsports, let's say not even just on the driving side, but like let's say just in, there's a lot of other opportunities, right? Like if you wanted to get into NASCAR or something like that, you don't have to just be trying to become a driver. You can become a crew chief, a car chief, some type of mechanic. You can work on aerodynamics with the cars. You can be more on the technology side, work on technology with the cars. You can be more on the you can be on the pit crew side if you're a person who likes to be in the physical side of it. You can be on the pit crew side. There's a lot of different things. You can be on the front office of some of these teams and helping the marketing teams, helping the business development teams, helping the all the different teams that these all these different departments that these teams have. You can help them out in some different way. Even in NASCAR, I mean, they have a government affairs team within NASCAR that just deals with government affairs. They're all about connecting the military and the government with NASCAR. Some of the people who run this are prior military. In fact, one of them, I believe, was 06 in the Army before he transitioned to that job over there. So there's a lot of different ways you can get into the motorsports industry, from the military and really transitioning from the military to anything. There's a lot of other things in life you can get into. Like I mentioned before, starting your own business, being the lead at something. All of us have leadership skills, so we should all aim, I believe, to be leaders in whatever industry we're trying to get into. Don't settle for just, going in and working for whoever. Like, try to be a leader in your industry. We can all do it. We all have the capability to do it. Be the best you can be.
So looking back at your journey, one of the audience members wants to know, what would you have done differently when pursuing your goals?
Looking back at my journey, what I would have done differently, pursuing my goals, there's honestly, there's not a lot.
I mean, I think you should have joined the Air Force. I mean, that's really what it should have come down to. You picked the wrong service.
I don't think there's anything else I would have done differently. There's a few little things that I could have not done and probably would have saved me some money. But besides that, I wouldn't say there was any big things that I should have just gone this different direction. And it would, I don't think so. I mean, maybe try to slow down a little bit on the first year. I think I was trying to go a little bit too fast on some things, and that bit me a little bit. Besides that, nothing else. Everything else has kind of gone the way it should go. There's ups and downs, which is all part of it. You can't be mad at the downs. You just learn from them and understand that, hey, like maybe that was necessary at that point in my life, because as much as it might have sucked at that time, it could have sucked a lot more if it would have happened at a different date. So everything happens when it's supposed to happen and why, and it happens for a particular reason. So learn from it and continue to push forward, and you'll excel over it.
All right, so we've talked about your family a little bit and how athleticism runs in your family with all of the Awuji boys playing football.
Yeah.
So what would you say to those that say that NASCAR or racing drivers are not athletes, and what requires more athleticism, driving a ship or driving a car?
Yeah, so being athletic helps a lot. Having that type of physical fitness helps a lot. I work out every day. I spend about an hour to hour and a half running and lifting weights every single day. That's a big part of me being able to stay physically fit to be in a race car. For those who have never been in a race car, it's not as comfortable as you might think. In a race car, it can get up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit inside a race car. And it doesn't just spike there. It actually will stay there for 2-3 hours while you're in the race car. So imagine sitting in 150 degrees for 2 or 3 hours, racing against people side by side, inches away from people, lap after lap after lap, while experiencing many G-forces every single lap. And having a little bit of water to get through. Yeah, I have about 2 liters of water, which I can easily run out of very quick. And I will lose 5 to 8 pounds of water in a race. It's just, you just sweat that much. So being physically fit helps a lot so that you can withstand that type of heat stress and that physicality with all the G forces. And then yeah, I mean, working out, I mean, it helps a lot. I lift, I run, I do sprints a lot. That helps. There's all these different things I do to really stay physically fit for the race. But you definitely need to be an athlete to be in a race car. I have never cramped playing football. I played college football 4 years, never cramped. I have cramped in a race car. So if that tells you something.
Absolutely, it's hot, just like being in a ship out in some of the warmer climates out there, for sure. So let's talk a little bit more about your decisions with the Navy. So you have so much on your plate. Why did you choose to not just separate and pursue NASCAR full time? Why did you think it was important to continue serving and be part of the Naval Reserve?
Yeah, so for me, racing in NASCAR and being like the only service member who's racing at the national series, yeah, I could have easily just went from active duty to civilian life and that was it. But I knew that my story was being the guy who was serving and also racing. I started racing while I was active duty, then I transitioned to the reserves. I transitioned to the reserves so I can continue to maintain that story and just be that role model for everybody to show everyone that it's possible. It's possible to serve your country and make sure that we're still doing our part to provide what we provide for this country and we can be free. It's great to do that, and it's also great to do that while going after my goals and dreams. I'm continuing to do my small part in protecting our freedom so that I can have the freedom to go after my NASCAR goals. And I wanted to always maintain that right there. And it's been very helpful in a lot of different ways. That's helped me really get my story out there. It's helped the story be something that was a popular story, and it's helped me show other military folks, whether they're active duty, reserves, retired, you name it. This helped me show them that all is possible. Like, don't make excuses for yourself. Don't sit there and say, I don't have time for this. You don't have time for that. If I'm able to be in the Navy Reserves, race in NASCAR, run and operate 3 different businesses that I own, and do all the things I do outside of that, if I'm able to do all that stuff, I mean, I feel like others can do at least a little.
Absolutely. Can you tell me? I mean, you recently were promoted. Congratulations, by the way. And it was put on by NBC, and one of your mentors, Dale Earnhardt Jr., participated in that pin-on. Can you tell us a little bit about how that felt and how that was part of the realization of your dream? And I mean, it had to just feel like it actually was a dream to do that, because I know you didn't imagine that 2 to 3 years ago would ever be a possibility.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and my girlfriend, both of them were able to be there for my pinning ceremony. Vice Admiral Buck, the superintendent for the Naval Academy, he was the officer reading the oath, and we pretty much had to do it through Zoom. But Dale was there, my girlfriend was right there, and they got to pin me, and it was really cool just to have Dale Earnhardt Jr., somebody who I've looked up to in racing for the last many years, and to have him there pinning me was a really cool experience. experience. And I was like, you know what? I think this is like one of the coolest pinning ceremonies ever. Besides like jumping out of a plane and doing it, this is pretty cool. So I had a lot of fun doing it. It was really cool just to, have someone like that there just to show that, hey, man, this journey definitely been going places. It's definitely been doing big things. And I'm happy that we were able to put this all together in the way that we did.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you help me set up for my pin on if I get promoted. It better be pretty good. But I was thrilled for you to see that, and I wish I could have made it down there to be part of it. So, what advice would you offer to a transitioning military member, whether they wanted to get into NASCAR or start their own business? How do they start? You talked about your whiteboard, but give a little bit about the organization, how to get their ideas organized so that they can go ahead and try to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, for those who are going after it, understand one, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. Most of the people that you're wanting to compete against are going to be people who started at a very early age, 5, 6, 7 years old. A lot of them have a lot of money behind them, rich parents. The parents are probably, Mr. Walmart, whatever, like they have a lot of money. So, that's what you're fighting against right there. But understand it doesn't make the journey impossible if you're just willing to withstand all the weather that you're going to deal with. You can make it to the end. So understand that you're going to have to plan it out. You're going to have to make sure that you're good at networking with people. You have to be comfortable with telling your story, and that's for anything. Anybody trying to go after anything in life, you got to be comfortable with telling your story. Like a lot of military people get shy or don't feel like talking about themselves or their accomplishments. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, and you have to be comfortable with that. Like it's okay to be your cheerleader. Like you got to be your biggest cheerleader so that people understand who you are, where you come from, and what you do, and then that helps give them a better thought on how they can actually help you. So understand you got to be able to put that out. Understand business, understand marketing. You have to. If you're going to get sponsorships, you have to understand why people are giving you sponsorships or why they're not giving you sponsorships. You have to understand, that training is very big on it. You got to be able to get seat time somehow, some way. It's hard to always get, for me, I race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I've never gotten to test one of those cars in real life. All I've gotten to do is get to the track. I've run 3 races in the series in this COVID year now. I've gotten to the track, I race, and that's it. My only time in the car has been in the race. I've never gotten to even practice or test one of those things at all. And I have to get training in other ways to be able to even get in those things. So I get my simulator training in. I do drifting for fun. I'll do dirt racing. I'll do other little things to just train my mind, train my eye-hand coordination, train my skill sets on track in other ways so that when I get into the NASCAR Xfinity Series car, I've at least trained my skill sets I need. And then I just got to now apply that to this new style of racing in the Xfinity Series.
Jesse, you're so inspiring. You have such a great story, and it really is contagious, your positive attitude on life and how you just chase your goals. So if any of our viewers today want to follow you or support you, how do they follow what you're doing, and what are there opportunities out there to engage with you?
Yeah, for those looking to follow, just head to my social media. You can look me up on all social media platforms. Just type in my name. That's Jesse, Jesse. Last name is IWUJI. Type that in on any social media platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, I'll be on there. Follow me. If anyone has any questions on anything, you can always reach out and I can always help in some way, some fashion. And then if you can't remember how to spell my name, go on Google, type in Navy NASCAR driver. I should be the only one that pops up for a few pages. So yeah, that's how you can find me, follow me, and go on my website too, jessewuji.com. Order some gear. I have shirts, hats, all that stuff. All that stuff helps me continue this journey on. So order away.
So who's your sponsor for Phoenix?
Can't announce it just yet. They haven't put out the press release, but it's a big one. It's a good one. And I'm very excited about it.
Copy that. Yeah. If anything, the military knows how to keep a secret, so we'll keep that on the down low. But Jesse, I can't thank you enough for coming and joining us here at the Airlift Tanker Association. I know it's not necessarily in your wheelhouse, no pun intended, with you Navy ship drivers there, but your story just resonates across all types of military and how to chase your dreams and transition from military service. and talking about that, you don't have to leave your dreams behind because you serve for 3, 5, 10, 20 years. Your dreams are really still achievable. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope to see you again at one of our future events in person, and I hope our audience enjoyed it. And any closing remarks?
No, that's about it. Thank you so much, everyone. Please head on the social media, follow me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and share this with all your friends. Share my story with all your friends. Tell them about me. If you know anybody that wants to potentially sponsor, they're a decision maker in some business somewhere, or they have their own business and they got some, extra money that they're looking to use for marketing. Let me know. Reach out to me, and we'll make it happen. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks so much, Jesse.
Yeah.
The views expressed in this presentation are those of the speaker and do not reflect the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, the Department of Defense, the United States government, the Airlift Tanker Association, or the Department of the Navy. If you are not an ATA member, please consider joining at https://atalink.org/become-a-member. Thank you for participating in our virtual presentation. Please close this window and return to the agenda on our website to view another presentation.